Venerable Kirakos the Anchorite, commemorated on September 29th. Saint Kyriakos was born in the Greek city of Corinth to the priest John and his wife Eudokia. Bishop Peter of Corinth, who was a family relative, seeing that Kyriakos was a quiet and sensible child, made him a reader in church. His constant reading of the Holy Scriptures awakened in him a love for the Lord and made him long for a pure and holy life. When he was not yet 18 years old, Kyriakos was deeply moved during a church service by the words of the gospel, "If any man will come after me, let him deny himself and take up his cross and follow me." He believed that these words applied to him, so he went straight to the harbor without stopping at home, got onto a ship, and went to Jerusalem. After visiting the holy places, Kyriakos lived for several months at a monastery not far from Sion in obedience to the igumen Abba Eustorgios. Later, with the latter's blessing, he made his way to the wilderness lavra of St. Euthymios the Great, January 20th. St. Euthymios, discerning great gifts of God in Kyriakos, tonsured him into the monastic schema and placed him under the guidance of St. Gerasimos, March 4th, who trained him in asceticism at the monastery of St. Theoktistos by the Jordan. St. Gerasimos, taking into account the fact that Kyriakos was very young, ordered him to live in a Cenobitic monastery with the brethren. The young monk easily fulfilled his monastic obediences. He prayed fervently, he slept little, and ate food only every other day, sustaining himself with bread and water. It was customary for the monks to go into the Ruva wilderness during Great Lent and return to the monastery on Palm Sunday. Seeing the young monk's strict abstinence, St. Gerasimos decided to take him along with him. In complete solitude, the ascetics redoubled their efforts. Every Sunday, St. Gerasimos imparted the holy mysteries to his disciple. After the repose of St. Gerasimos, the 27-year-old Kyriakos returned to the lavra of St. Euthymios, who was no longer among the living. Father Kyriakos asked for a solitary cell, and there he devoted himself to ascetical contests in silence, speaking only to the monk Thomas. But Thomas was sent to Alexandria, where he was consecrated as a bishop, and St. Kyriakos spent another 10 years in complete silence. At the age of 37, he was ordained to the diaconate. When a rift occurred between the monasteries of St. Euthymios and St. Theoktistos, St. Kyriakos withdrew to the Suka monastery of St. Chariton, September 28th. At this monastery they received even tonsured monks as novices, and St. Kyriakos was also received this way. He toiled humbly at various monastic obediences. After several years, St. Kyriakos was ordained as a priest and was chosen as the canonarch, serving in this obedience for 18 years. In all, St. Kyriakos spent 30 years at the monastery of St. Chariton, September 28th. Strict fasting and a complete lack of evil distinguished St. Kyriakos even among the older ascetics of the Lavra. Each night he read the Psalter in his cell, interrupting his reading only to go to church at midnight. The ascetic slept very little. When he reached the age of 70, Kyriakos went to the Natufa wilderness, taking his disciple John with him. In the desert, the hermits ate only bitter herbs, which were made edible by the prayers of St. Kyriakos. After 5 years, a certain man found out about the ascetics and brought his demon-possessed son to them, and St. Kyriakos healed him. From that time, many people began coming to him with their needs, but he desired complete solitude and fled to the Ruva wilderness, where he dwelt 5 years more. But the sick and those afflicted by demons also came to him in that wilderness, and the saint healed them all with the sign of the cross and anointing them with oil. In his 80th year, St. Kyriakos fled to the remote Susakim wilderness, near 2 dried-up streams. According to tradition, the holy prophet David mentioned Susakim, "Thou hast dried up the rivers of Etham." After 7 years, brethren of the Suka monastery came to him, beseeching his spiritual help during a period of debilitating hunger and illness, which God allowed. They implored St. Kyriakos to return to the monastery, and he settled in the cave where St. Chariton had once lived. St. Kyriakos provided great help to the Church in the struggle with the spreading heresy of Origenism. By prayer and by word, he brought the wayward back to the true path and strengthened the Orthodox in their faith. Cyril, the author of the life of St. Kyriakos and a monk of the Lavra of St. Euthymios, was a witness when St. Kyriakos foretold the impending death of the chief heretics Nonos and Leontios, and said that soon the heresy would cease to spread. The most holy Theotokos once appeared to Saint Kyriakos in a dream, along with Saints John the Baptist and John the Theologian, ordering him to preserve doctrine in its purity. She refused to enter his cell, however, because in it was a book with the writings of the heretic Nestorius. "My enemy is in your cell," she told him. At the age of 99, St. Kyriakos went to Sussakim again and lived there with his disciple John. In the desert, St. Kyriakos was served by a huge lion, which protected him from robbers. The animal did not bother the brethren, and it ate food from the saint's hand. The ascetics had stored some water in the hollow of a rock during the winter, but in the heat of summer all the water dried up. Since there was no other source of water, St. Kyriakos prayed, and the rain fell, filling the hollow with water. St. Kyriakos returned to the monastery 2 years before his death and settled once more in St. Cariton's cave. Until the end of his life, the righteous elder preserved his courage and prayed with fervor. He was never idle. He either prayed or he worked. Before his blessed repose, St. Kyriakos summoned the brethren and blessed them all. He fell asleep in the Lord, having lived for 109 years.